JJ McCarthy might be the worst quarterback, not only in the league, but the worst quarterback that I have ever seen. Brother, it's one thing to throw a goofy turnover or two. It's one thing to miss a target way downfield. But when you're consistently missing targets 10 feet in front of your face as an NFL quarterback, you are not ready to play. How about them Bills, though? Joshy got 6 touchdowns. Anyway, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to my Week 11 NFL reactions. Do want to point out that I have already reacted to Thursday night's game on last Friday's video, so we're just going to hop right to Sunday for the start of today. And before we hop into it, we got a couple of interesting pieces of news about my plugs. So as always, don't forget to visit G Fuel. Don't forget to visit Waggle. We're also, by hitting the Waggle link in my bio, it'll bring you to a page of my top picks for the Black Friday sale right now. The whole site is on sale. And by using code WyattzWorld at sign up on Prize Picks, you're going to guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. But get this, Prize Picks, at least on the mobile app, have now started a new beta for new ways to play. So by hitting the top where it says player, you can now pick teams where you can just pick the outcome of games, who's gonna win. And they also have a culture tab where you can pick literally whatever you want. They have one right now on the Spotify charts. So I thought that was really cool, and I hope that means WWE is on the way, although that would be very questionable. Anyway, always play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, so starting off with the Sunday morning crapshoot, I like to call it, we had the Dolphins beating the Commanders in OT in a game that had no business going to OT. Mike McDaniel was this close to losing the game for his team again. What was it, under a minute left, and instead of kicking the field goal to take the lead, he just predictably once again runs the ball multiple times right into the defense to get denied. Kind of feel bad for Marcus Mariota too, who actually played a decent game all the way until overtime when he just threw a brain-dead interception, basically losing the game. But what are you gonna do about it now? Just move forward, right? Not really a lot to highlight in this game either offensively. I mean, as you could tell, the score was pretty lackluster. Debo did have a good game, 7 for 74 and a very nice touchdown run. And the Dolphins' main source of offense is unsurprisingly once again Devon Achane, who didn't score a touchdown but finished with 165 all-purpose yards while Ollie Gordon ran it in for Miami. That was a real pathetic way to start Sunday, though, I gotta say. I almost went right back to bed. Now moving on to the afternoon, we have the Packers narrowly escaping the Giants 27-20. I didn't watch a ton of this game, honestly. The most that I saw was through Twitter, the backlash Jordan Love was receiving for another kind of lackluster performance. Jacobs dealt with an injury, and I did see an absolutely ridiculous touchdown catch from Christian Watson, which was actually only one of 2 that he had on the day. Micah Parsons appeared to be productive, though, hitting 1.5 sacks on Jameis Winston, who, speaking of, had a pretty lousy game himself, throwing 19 for 29, 201 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, but he did have a rushing touchdown as well. Rest of the points came from Devin Singletary. Tyrone Tracy had a huge fantasy day. He was over 100 all-purpose yards. And Brian Burns, my defensive player of the year so far, is trying to keep up with Myles Garrett here, getting 2 more sacks on the day. However, I'm not certain if he still holds the lead. No, he doesn't. Garrett has him by 2 now. Jeepers. However, this may have been a much-needed win for the Packers, although I'm not sure it was very much convincing. Now we got the Texans squeaking past the Titans. What in the world happened here? This should have never been this close. Davis Mills once again got the start this week. He threw for 274 and a touchdown. Woody Marks struggled bad with the run game. 18 carries for 44 yards. Receiving was led by Nico Collins, who had an amazing play and also led receiving with 9 for 92 and a touchdown. And Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter continue to be the brothers of destruction, gathering up 2.5 sacks and a strip sack that pretty much helped them win the game. As far as the Titans go, well, it was a pretty average Titans game. Cam threw a touchdown, although inaccurate. Running game was non-existent. Receiving was led by Cheek, who had 56 yards. However, I think their line deserves a little bit of credit here, getting 4 sacks on Davis Mills. One of them coming from Jeffrey Simmons, who at this point has to be one of the most miserable players in the entire NFL. Can you imagine if JJ was the quarterback for the Titans right now? 1 in 9? Oh, the heat would be unreal. Now we've got the Panthers beating the Falcons. Massive game from Bryce Young. And remember like 3 or 4 days ago when I'm like, nobody's going to catch the Bucs, especially not the Panthers. They're not going to catch them. And now they've basically caught them. They're like half a game back. Brother, Bryce Young threw for 448 yards and 3 touchdowns, completing 31 out of 45 attempts. McMillan had 8 for 132 touchdowns. Leggett had 83 yards and a touchdown. Defense also got their asses kicked around pretty good in the first half, but had a very nice bounce back in the second. Or if we switch over to the Falcons, we can see Penix threw 13 for for 16, 175, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks, while Kirk Cousins would finish the game throwing 6 for 14.
Also, Michael Penix, heal up. I hope that's not as bad as it looked. But on the other hand,
I accurately predicted a Bijan bounce back game. I think I got it pretty much right on the head. I said at least 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's what he got. While he also had 40 yards on the ground, and Drake London led the team in receiving, having 7 receptions for 119 yards. 5 sacks from this defense, too. That's insane. It's just, this is a game where they needed a turnover, and they couldn't get one. Also, Bryce Young, I would really hope would win NFC Player of the Week. I mean, dude, if this would have went to OT, that guy would have probably thrown for 500 yards. Crazy day. Now we got the Bears beating the Vikings. What's sick about this is the Bears didn't really play good at all. Caleb Williams struggled. Run game, I mean, shockingly was pretty effective, I would say, for playing Minnesota. But man, Flores was all over Caleb. He was all over the receivers. He held Chicago down, man. He kept us in this game, and I couldn't be more grateful for it. 2 interceptions came out of their defense, too. One from Deshaun Wright, and the other one from Kevin Byard, who now has the most interceptions in the league. Looking at the Vikings disaster class now, JJ 150, 1 touchdown, 2 just horrendous interceptions, and the touchdown didn't come till late in the game either. Jones and Mason ran the ball effectively, Mason getting the rushing touchdown to finish off the drive. Justin Jefferson continuing to show his frustration here, 5 for 61. Jordan Addison getting the receiving touchdown. I don't care what anybody says about Jefferson not being frustrated. He is frustrated. Anybody would be. The guy was moving back and forth on the bench like he needed to be in a straitjacket. Good game from Dallas Turner, though, and a big play from Van Ginkel. But yeah, this was pretty much a burial of the Minnesota Vikings here, and I'm not really even saying it's more so because of the loss. I'm saying just because I think you don't have a choice right now other than to play JJ, and by playing JJ, your offense is not good enough to win 8 out of 10 games. Like I said, dude, this guy could not hit water if he fell out of a boat. But I'm sure he'll have some very great quote to psych himself up and regain confidence. You know, my friend said this the best, my friend Nate, and I couldn't agree more. An issue I have with JJ, I think, also was the fact that I wouldn't sit down and have a beer with the guy. Do I want him to get better? Yes. But right now, it's abysmal. It's historically bad. Now we got the Chargers getting mollywopped by the Jags. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't get to see a ton of this game, if any at all. But from what I saw on Gamecast, from what I saw on Red Zone, from what I'm seeing, looking at this box score, was every single possession that the Chargers had this game a 3-and-out? I mean, this is insanely horseshit production. Running did absolutely nothing. And other than their interception, who came from Dante Jackson, defensively, they just got skulled. Good news for Los Angeles, though. You guys are now on your bye week. As far as the Jags go, you would think that their passing game was a lot better when in reality it wasn't. Touchdown went to Tim Patrick. Receiving was led by Jacoby Myers with 5 for 64, while running did virtually everything for the team. Trevor had a rushing touchdown. Brashell Tootin led the team in rushing, 74 yards in a score, while Etienne had 73 and 2 touchdowns of his own. Also had 3 sacks and an interception on the day, a half a sack coming from Trayvon Walker, who this year, to be honest, I don't think I've heard his name one time. He just had an awful regression, or what is going on with him? Jags fans, fill me in. Anyway, nice win for you guys. Much needed win for you guys. Now we got the Bills beating the Bucks 44-32. Unbelievable. Josh Allen, 6 touchdowns. He might have had 2 picks. One of them might have been the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, and boy, did the Bills start rough here. But Josh, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, also 3 rushing touchdowns. Terrell Shavers, hero of the day, 90 yards and a touchdown receiving. James Cook with the receiving touchdown. Ty Johnson with a very nice little screen pass touchdown. Curtis Samuel made an amazing bobbled catch at the end that really saved us. But Cole Hardman started the game off great and then almost blew it for us, and then he got hurt. And once again, shout out to the defense here. Where is the consistency on this, guys? Cole Bishop continuing to play out of his mind, grabbing another interception. Bills secondary allowing under 200 passing yards to Baker Mayfield. Also, shout out to Ray Davis. Welcome back. 4 returns for 158 yards. I was so happy with this team, man. The only thing I wish would have been better is obviously the run defense, which, as you can see, once again, just got obliterated. Sean Tucker, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rashad White averaging 5 yards a carry on us. Baker had a rushing touchdown, plus a few annoying scrambles. Oh, and I forget to mention Sean Tucker also had the receiving touchdown, while receiving was led by Sterling Shepard. Also, can we talk about the Bills' red zone defense, especially like the first drive? Holding them to a field goal, that was so crucial for the entire layout of the game after. The Bills absolutely had to have this win. They got the job done, and now they seriously need to go back-to-back and defeat Houston on Thursday. Good game to you, Tampa Bay. I know you're injured. Now we got the Bengals getting their asses kicked by the Steelers. Also, Jamar Chase is a generational dumbass, now having to serve a 1-game suspension for spitting on Jalen Ramsey. The funny thing about it is in an interview, he's like, I did not spit on him. I've never done that. And there's literally blatant video of him doing it. I would say the one good thing for the Bengals here is seeing that Chase Brown is starting to consistently bounce back now. Another 99 yards, 5 yards a carry game for him. T. Higgins was a leading receiver, 3 for 63 and a score. And Miles Murphy had the solo sack on the defense. Looking at the Steelers here, Raj got hurt. Something with hitting his hand, but I saw him holding it, and then I saw Mason Rudolph was in the game, who actually didn't play that bad, by the way. 127 and a touchdown. Raj threw a touchdown as well. Both of those went to Kenneth Gainwell, who also led receiving with 81 yards, while DK was held at 5 for 49, and Darnell Washington had 4 for 67. Now I'm really curious, what is the verdict on Raj? Well, unfortunately, according to this article, it's not confirmed, but the initial concern is that Rodgers has a break in his wrist. That is not good. Now you gotta really kind of ask yourself, are we ever gonna see him play again? Moving on, we have the 49ers waxing the floor with the Arizona Cardinals. Although, don't let Jacoby Brissett's game get thrown under the rug. It's actually quite pathetic that this man threw 47 for 57, 452 yards and 2 touchdowns, and still lost the game. Has he ever thrown for that much in his life? That might be a career game. I mean, look at these receivers. Michael Wilson, 15 receptions for 185 yards. Someone played him in fantasy this week, and someone is really fucking mad. Trey McBride also had 10 for 115 and a touchdown. Greg Dortch had the other touchdown. Cam Knight had a rushing touchdown. Just sadly, there was absolutely no answer for the 49ers, George Kittle, and Brock Purdy this week. Am I forgetting to mention somebody else there? Oh yeah, Christian McCaffrey, who had over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, Purdy, surgical, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. McCaffrey, 81 on the ground, 2 rushing. Kittle through the air, 6 for 67, 2 scores. And McCaffrey with 5 for 40 and a touchdown of his own. Should also be noted that George Kittle now has 50 touchdowns in his career. So congratulations to that one on Mr. Jorge. Cardinals, I also feel bad because this should have been your day, and the 49ers just made it about them. Now we have the Seahawks losing to the Rams in one of the most disappointing games of the season. Man, I expected fireworks here. Sam Darnold, what in the blue hell was wrong with you? This is the kind of stuff that makes me believe quarterbacks are told to just throw games. Dude, I was setting up some Christmas shit in my house, and I'm not kidding you. I think there were 3 interceptions by Sam Darnold within like a 10-minute period of time. He was just off. He was so off. Gratefully, Kenneth Walker played a decent game here, 67 yards and a touchdown. And receiving was led by JSN, who had 9 for 105, and then AJ Barner, who had 10 for 70. Also, to anybody going at Jason Myers, bro, that was a 61-yard kick, and you guys would have never been in that position if it wasn't for him. Looking at the Rams, Stafford must have been sick too. He only threw 2 touchdowns this week. Kyron Williams had 91 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Puka led the team in receiving, 7 for 75, no touchdowns, but several really crucial catches, I would say 2 or 3, that heavily dictated the game in terms of the offense being on the field. Kobe Parkinson had a touchdown. Devontae Adams had a touchdown. It might have been his only catch of the day, but it was also his 1,000th career reception. Congratulations to you, D. Adams. Who all snagged these picks here, too? We got 1 from Kobe Durant, 2 from Carmen Kitchens, and 1 from Darius Williams. Jeepers, he's still in the league? Hasn't that guy played on the Rams like 3 different times? Insanity. Anyway, Rams are still holding control over the NFL in my eyes. I'm sorry, NFC. That'll bring us to the Chiefs losing to the Broncos, falling to 5-5. Holy balls, man. I never thought I'd see the day. Mahomes, 276, a touchdown, an interception. Kareem Hunt, 59 yards, another rushing touchdown for him. Kelsey led 9 for 91 in a score. And Chamari Connor and Chris Jones came up with sacks on Bo Nix. Broncos, I can't really say from what I saw, your offense did all that much better either. Both threw for 295, 0 touchdowns on the day. Khalil McLaughlin had the rushing touchdown, which, by the way, credit to the Broncos O-line and every other player for getting him in there. I thought they were going to call that dead. They've had a really bad habit of doing that lately in the NFL. Receiving was led by Troy Franklin, who I had my friend who's a Broncos fan just ripping on in the group chat, so I'm assuming his game actually was not that terrific. I didn't see all of it, obviously. However, Jaquan McMillan had quite a damn stat line, if you ask me. Leading the team in 5 tackles, 2 sacks, and an interception. Oh, how did Denver score? Will Lutz, 5 for 5, 16 points. Can't ever underestimate the value of a kicker. Congratulations, Denver. Now we had the Ravens beating the Browns in a pretty lousy game out of Lamar and the debut of Shedeur Sanders. Now, Shedeur, I can't say did great, 4 for 16, an interception, but you gotta give him more than a couple drives, right? Rushing pretty lousy, receiving obviously pretty lousy, although 10 of their points came from their kicker and 6 came from technically a Devin Bush pick 6. It was more of a bat, but that play is what kept the Browns alive for half the game. Ravens, like I said, Lamar pretty lousy, 193, 2 picks on the day. Derrick Henry lit it up, 18 for 103, 1 1 touchdown. Mark Andrews had a rushing touchdown, which is something I don't think I'll ever see again. It's like a fake tush push. It was actually kind of a cool play. Zay led the day 3 for 78, and defensively they mustered up 3 sacks and an interception. A sack coming from Kyle Hamilton and a pick coming from Nate Wiggins. I point that out because I like those players, and those are 2 very young players. Too bad Roquan's not like 26 years old. Actually, I don't even think he's that old though. Roquan's like, what, 28? You got a hell of a foundation over there, Baltimore. Good win for you too. Just wish it wasn't that difficult. And ending, we had Sunday night NyQuil, the Eagles and the Lions. Holy fuck, other than Jahmyr Gibbs catching over 100 yards, this game was ass. Goff fought for his life tonight. It was a rough outing, 255, a touchdown, a pick. Gibbs ran for 39, caught for 107. J-Mo had 88 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra was held to just 2 receptions. In Detroit, I know you guys lost, and it might be hard to credit them now, but you do have to credit your defense. They played a really good defensive game all around, holding Philly to 16 points. But that tush-push stop, like if you guys would have ended up winning the game, that would have been one of the biggest plays of the year. Philly, on the other hand, well, it was Philly. Jalen Hurts, 135 passing yards. Saquon ran for 83. Jalen did have a rushing touchdown, though. A.J. Brown led 7 for 49. Slim Reaper was held to 1 catch for 8 yards. The pick came from White Lightning, and the sacks came from Nakobe Dean and Jalen Phillips, who was probably happier than a pig in shit to be in his new home. Also, shout out to Jake Elliott on kicking 10 points. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if things are ever really going to change this season offensively for these guys. Good team, sure, don't fix what's not broken, but my goodness, I would just like to enjoy watching you guys. Anyway, hats off, good win. And that is gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen, for my Week 11 NFL reactions. Let me know your reactions in the comments, and if you guys want to show support to this video, please feel free, because you know I appreciate any and all help. However, in the meantime, I'm gonna hop off and get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your Monday, and I will see you in the next video.